Well, good. I'm excited. So I didn't really know exactly what to expect, but being in Rochester, I was kind of expecting a bunch of like medical tech dudes. So I'm excited to see you guys. This is exciting. And you said your name was Devin.
Devin, yeah.
And
Sharon.
I don't know.
Amanda.
We met. Yeah. Cool. I'm excited to see you guys. And today we're going to be talking about homepages.
Sorry, what's your name?
Oh, right. I should get to that. My
name
name's
is
Izzy, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is it original from North Dakota?
Yep.
Okay, so Izzy is graphic designer, marketer, business administration, I think was
Yeah.
your other
My degrees. Mm-hmm.
your degrees. She's running Izzy Waite Design. And today what we are going to talk is how to stand out in a crowded digital place. So the idea of this workshop is that Izzy is going to give us some tools and tips to craft our message and basically stand out from our competitors in this busy online world, and how to reflect our own brand and values into our website. So that's the purpose. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for the introduction. Yeah, so this is me, my official introduction. So I'm Izzy. I'm originally from North Dakota. I moved to Rochester and kind of started my business at the same time. I tried the corporate stint for a while. Being in a marketing field is really interesting because if you're not like aligned with the company, or if your values don't align with the company you're working for, you're still helping them get seen and grow, and it was really an internal ethical situation for me. So I was just like, you know what, I want to leave that. I want to work with people I love, passionate people, and help them. And so transitioned, and I went to college, as you were saying, for marketing and graphic design. And so it was just kind of a natural transition to start offering branding and website design on my own. So fun facts about me: vegetarian. I foster dogs here in Rochester, so if anyone ever needs a pet, let me know. We have a really cute one right now. And then, so why the homepage? So the homepage is kind of, back in the day, your storefront, your window was kind of the thing that people would stop by, see what you were about. They'd spend hours setting up the storefront. Nowadays, that's really your website homepage. It's the first thing that people see. You have 0.05 seconds for someone to land on it and be like, okay, I'm going to keep looking, I'm interested, or just completely close the tab and never come back. So it's really important that your homepage is kind of that start. It's the first impression, and it's also the place where people go to navigate and to go, oh, what does this person offer? How can I work with them? How can I engage with them? And so your homepage is really that place where people land to really get to know your business. So the key elements of an effective homepage. I like to think of the homepage as a coffee date method. And this is because nowadays, more so than ever, people want to build that connection with you. They want to feel like you are their friend. Back in the day, no one really cared about that. Businesses didn't have to have a personality. Nowadays, I mean, even Wendy's Twitter is like funny, right? And like 10 years ago, they would have never had a personality on their Twitter account, but nowadays people really want that personal connection. And so I do that by having this coffee date method of homepage design. And so how I tell people about it is, if you were sitting down with a new connection, a new friend at a coffee date, what would you do? You would not info dump them and talk for hours about the same topic. You probably wouldn't tell them every single detail about what you offer, what you sell, the price, all of that right away. You'd probably give them a little bit of an introduction of who you are, why you do it, what are some of the services you offer, and just kind of give them those bits of every big thing you have going on in your business. You'd probably narrow it down to like a few points in a conversation. You might chat about previous clients, and at the end of a coffee date, if it went well, you're always going to be like, hey, we should continue. We should do this again. Here's my number, here's my email. Same with a website. On the bottom of it, you always want to have a way for them to continue to work with you. And so if you think of a homepage like a coffee date, it's easier to break it down and not get so overwhelmed with, okay, I need to have this giant wall of text, I need to have this, etc. So how does that translate into the actual sections of the homepage? So the first part, tell them what you do and who you work with. That's kind of the first introduction when you sit down with a person. And that's going to be your hero statement up at the top. So that section up at the top is called the above the fold. So it's everything on your website that someone can see before they scroll. That's called above the fold. And that's where you really have 0.05 seconds for someone to be like, oh yeah, this is what I want to do. And so we often put a hero statement in that section that's very quick says, I do this, this is who I work with, and this is why you should continue to go on my website or continue to look through my stuff. So it's like a really quick introduction. Basically, when you sit down and meet someone, oh, hey, I'm Izzy, I do this. So then, a big part that I believe that you should always have right away is why you do it. A lot of who I work with is passionate entrepreneurs, and there's so much to that passion. It can really translate through a screen. And so the first section of your website, it can be really helpful to just say, hey, this is why I got started. This is my story behind baking. I love it because of whatever. Just let people know the person behind the business, because that's really how you're gonna start to build that connection. So then a little service overview. So again, you don't want to give them every single detail in this section. You can see right there by number 3, I have just 3 little parts. So that person potentially has 3 different offerings. Give them a title, give them a little brief description of who this would be for, why someone might want this service, how that service could benefit them, but you're not gonna just info dump right away on the homepage. So then after that, we like to do a bio. So this is kind of like who you are. So after you've told them why you're passionate about it, now give them a background. You know, I'm from North Dakota, that's on my website. Give them a little bit more of that background so they can even get to know you further, so you're not just, oh, this business owner. It's like, oh no, now you're a person, and like, I know why you're passionate, and this is your background, this is where you're from, this is information about you as a person. So then we kind of like to touch on all the big things happening. So a lot of my clients have a podcast, they have lead magnets, which are like freebies that people can add their email address and get on their email list. Just different things. Whatever are the big things you have going on, put that on your homepage. So if you have certain dates you're going to the farmer's market, or you have certain dates that you have like meditation workshops going on, that can be on your homepage to kind of, you know, as a calendar, like, hey, this is what's coming up. Just those brief overviews so people can know, okay, this is how I can engage with this business. The other huge thing is testimonials. Testimonials speak so much more than you as a business owner ever could, right? Because if you're walking down the street and there's a line down the block for a restaurant, and then the other restaurant, there's no one in line, even if you hate waiting in lines, you're probably still gonna wanna go to the restaurant that has a huge line, right? Because as consumers, we like to know that what we're purchasing is liked by others. It's just a thing. And so testimonials are huge. And even if they're just screenshots of messages, or I don't know, you get a recording of someone saying, this is the best croissant I've ever had, you know, just things of, they can even be really small, but if it's just someone else saying why they like your product, why they like your services, that speaks so much more than anything else. And so then, like I said, the end of the homepage, you really want to have that final, like, okay, now you've made it this far, you're probably kind of interested in what I do, this is the next step, and make it really clear. It's better to be clear than clever. Don't try and be funny, like, I don't know, let's chat. Yeah, try to find me or something weird. Like, we don't need things like that. Yeah. Make it super simple. Have a button that says exactly what they're gonna do. If it's book a free discovery call, write that out on the button. If it's whatever it is, have that really clear so people know the next step. So your whole entire homepage is really like a tool to create a way for people to navigate how to work with you. So throughout it, you can have buttons that kind of lead to that section. So that section about services by number 3, there's a button that it's hard to see here, but there's a button there that would lead to your service page. And so if they're reading that section and they're like, oh, these are the services, I want to learn more, there's a way right there, so they don't have to scramble all over or try and find the navigation. It's just really clear. Same with the About Me section. If you have a section that's talking about who you are, what you do, have it linked to the About Me section. So that way if they're like, oh, I'm really interested in learning more how she got here, what her story is, have a button where it's just like, okay, go straight to the About Me page, that's what you're interested in. And so your whole homepage can kind of be a tool for people to navigate even throughout your website. So that's a great way to help people navigate to where they want to go.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, when it's better to have the call to action at the very bottom of your website instead of a floating call to action somewhere else on your website?
No, good question. Yeah, so the bottom one is just the one that people forget a lot because they're like, they
need to scroll down.
Yeah, sometimes when people are designing their websites, they forget to add emphasis on the bottom of your website because they're like, oh, it's the bottom, who cares? But a lot of times if people get that far, they want a way to work with you. But definitely I recommend having call to actions all throughout it. Right away under your hero statement, have a call to action. There's like a button up here, button here. And so, you know, there's different buttons throughout it that can kind of lead to those different sections, but also you want to make sure like the main thing that you want people to do, like if it's book a call, if it's schedule a meeting or buy your services, whatever, that can be throughout it too. So you can have it right here in the hero statement, and then you can have it again down here. You can repeat it as much as possible, as long as it's not overwhelming and cluttery. That's a big no-no. Okay, so strategies for creating a memorable user experience. So I think probably 10 years ago you could get away with just having, you know, some photos and text on your homepage, and that would be okay. We didn't need it to be an experience. Nowadays, because we have really small attention spans because of things like Instagram Reels and TikToks and all these other things and millions of things going on in people's lives, you want a way to really hold people's attention, right? You want them to land on this, and you want them to be like, oh, this is like a really interesting experience. Like, I feel the vibe for this business. I get a sense for the business owner. So this is your chance to really be creative with it, and this is my favorite part of websites. When I work with a client, I really like to get to know them and what they care about and what they're passionate about, so we can bring that whole essence and vibe into the homepage. So this is where you really get to be creative. So I'm gonna give you guys some examples of things you can do, but when it comes to creating a memorable user experience on your website, try and think outside the box. Like, nothing is, you're not limited by anything. You can really do whatever you want on your website. So videos and movement are huge. Again, that's kind of from the whole TikToks, Reel. People want to see movement. It's just, we're so caught on scrolling through videos that websites are kind of the same way now. We want to see some type of movement or videos to keep us engaged. You can also create like interactive quizzes, surveys, just something that's going to take it away from, oh, here's a stagnant wall of text, to, oh, here's something I can kind of engage with the business owner. I can kind of get a sense of who they are and what they're doing. A welcome video. So maybe you're not a huge writer. Maybe writing's not your strong suit. It's definitely not mine. So instead of having a whole welcome section or explaining your passion, you could just have a video on your website that's like, hey, I'm Izzy, this is what I do, this is what I love. And if people are interested, they can watch it and kind of learn from you and get a sense for who you are through a video. A playlist is a fun one. I have a playlist on my website. You know, just whatever you can really do to take that extra step from being, okay, this is a business, to, holy cow, like, I want to get behind this business because I feel their vibe. I feel like they care about me. I can feel the experience. I've even seen, and these things don't necessarily completely have to relate. I've seen a lot of freebies or lead magnets where, you know, it's a bookkeeper, and then as their lead magnet, they have 30 tax write-offs that you probably forgot about, you know, very directly relating. But in this experience, in this aspect, if you're just trying to create that connection, you know, I've seen a website designer do an album cover mock-up through Canva, and so it's just like, she doesn't design album covers, but it's kind of this way to be like, oh, she's like this cool, edgy girl, she likes albums, you know, it's a way to build that connection. The other thing is showing your personality, and this is kind of where we're going to talk just briefly about branding, because branding has a whole role in how people interact with your business. And so your website is a great chance for you to really show your personality. So when you're designing your website, think about the colors you're using, think about the fonts. I always suggest doing your branding beforehand to make sure you have all that stuff sorted. But if you don't, I mean, just really think about it. There's a whole bunch of information on the internet about color psychology, what colors mean, and how they can help people get a sense for what your business is. So really think about that. The other thing is photos. Give people a glimpse of who you are. I know we don't always love to have our face be the front and center of things, but it's a really great way for people to connect with you. They can be high resolution photos, like a branded photo shoot, but even just like a phone photo, selfie of you hanging out and doing things you love. Like, photos of you help show your personality more than like a funny little quote ever could. So remember, the key is to really be authentic. Tell your brand's personality. If it's not authentic to you to have pink text, don't do it just because it's trendy. You know, like do what feels right. So that way when people land on your website, they really get a sense for who you are. So I have an example here of fonts. People know that colors have a personality, right? So if I'm blue and green, I'm probably like calm and a little bit more quiet. If I'm bright yellow, I probably have this really energetic personality, right? Colors, we kind of get that a little bit more, but even fonts have a huge way of showing that personality. So these are the exact same colors, the kind shop, and the exact same name of the shop, right? But when we look at them, we're like, those are totally different shops. If I were to walk into this one here, I'd probably be like, oh, it's like a female boutique or a kid's store or something like that. The other one here, if I were to walk in there, I'd be like, this is like a bro shop, maybe a skateboard shop. Like, you can just see how just the fonts alone show the personality of what that store could be. So you want to think about that a lot when you're designing your website, what fonts you're using.
Do you think that the color of the fonts is relevant for the industry? Like, let's say green is super used in technology, like Spotify, WhatsApp.
Yeah.
I don't know, in a lot of environmental friendly companies, or purple for disruption or bans. Do you think it's important to keep that in mind when it comes to the industry and the type of business?
Yeah, I'd say to an extent, be aware. You know, do your research, see what other people are doing, be aware of like what's going on and why they're doing it. So like tech, a lot of them are green. I think or green or blue, because that kind of has this sense of like engineering, robotics. Like it just kind of feels more of that industry. But I also say don't just go with that just because someone else is doing it. I had a client who was a Reiki professional, and her first brand was like moons and purple and stars. And when I talked to her, I was like, okay, so why did you originally pick this? And she was like, I don't know, everyone else was. And she didn't really have a reason. But she didn't share her website. She didn't tell any of her friends about it because she was like, it feels really woo-woo for me. And so then when I actually talked to her, she was a registered nurse for 40 years.
Oh, wow.
Stopped being a nurse because she retired, and she just wanted a way to continue to heal people. And so when I talked to her, she was actually this really like grounded, calm person. And so instead of this woo-woo purple vibe, we did this blue, green, like a very earthy, calming vibe. And so while being aware of the industry norms and standards can be helpful, don't get sucked into that just because. You know, if it's helpful for like for food, for example, any fast food company in the world pretty much has red because it is supposed to improve your appetite. And so, you know, be aware of those things and use them if it seems like it would help your business, but don't just use them just because that's what everyone else is doing. That's kind of what I say. Okay, so this is the workshop aspect of it. Let's see what time we have. And I saw that you have a laptop. If you want to, you have a homepage, you want to pull it open, we can look at that too, but I also have some examples that we can live walk through if you don't want to look at your homepage.
We can.
I can pull it up here too.
As long as you're kind.
Oh, always. Here, what's your URL? Maybe I can just
It's persimmonbakeshop.com.
You want to spell that?
PERSIMMON, and bake shop, and shop is just like the way you spell it in modern times, not like ye old.
No double P.
Yeah, no double P.
Okay, it's not bad. This is not bad start at all right away. What I see right away is this catches your eye, which is exactly what above the fold is supposed to do, right? So this is like bold. This color, these colored blocks. Right away when I land on here, I'm like, wow, that is, you know, something that I would probably want to explore more. What platform are you using?
Like to build the website? So I'm using what's called Hugo, and they have these they basically have templates, and it's a framework based on the Go language, and then it's hosted via Netlify. So that's what I'm using.
Can you repeat the name of the platform, please?
Hugo, HUGO.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a Canva for websites?
It's
that
not
it has
like a
the
Canva.
templates, or?
It's more like WordPress in that like you get a theme and then there's like a configuration file, and then you edit this configuration file, and that's how you change
Got it.
aspects of your website.
Cool. Sounds easy. Is it easy? I'm looking for easy.
Friendly.
You have to be a little bit comfortable. Like, I feel like if you've already used WordPress, like you would have no problem
I've
using
only
this.
used Wix.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's probably a little
little
bit
harder.
more involved than
Okay.
using Wix.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Check
It's
it
not
out.
every day that I hear a new one, so
Oh.
congrats. I feel like I've worked
sure.
at like all of them by now, but I've never heard of this one. So I don't know what the capabilities are exactly, but we'll just go through here.
Okay.
So yeah, the first above the fold, like I think it's great how you have your logo and then local ingredients from scratch to bake fresh. Like that's exactly, that's what you do basically. I mean, it's a bakery, so you don't necessarily have to say who you serve. Like it's not like baked goods for moms or something like that. So I think that
Sure.
this is actually good, and it's a bold statement. The only thing, if I were gonna say above the fold, to add would be just some movement, like even a photo, or even if, and I saw these ones down here. Oh, when you go over them, I thought they were scrolling maybe, but even if your background is just like scrolling or something, even some simple movements like that can help kind of keep people's eyes on here. So then, I like these colors though. I think they're very fun. It's not necessarily what you would expect from a bakery, but so that's kind of good, to stand out through bold, bright colors. Offerings, about, pre-order, FAQ. So it's got all the things that you have going on, and how people can kind of navigate. Yeah, so I would say the only really thing is like people don't know you from here, and so I don't know if that's sometimes it's a personal choice to not have your face behind your business.
Yeah, I just don't like pictures of myself.
Okay. So-
And I get that people, like, that's how people connect to you, but I just, like, can't get over the fact that, like, I just don't like pictures of me.
So what if
So-
it wasn't, instead of like a headshot where you're just like staring straight out, what if it was like a photo of you in the kitchen baking, or a photo of you handing a baked good to someone at the farmer's market? Like it doesn't have to be that front close center like
Yeah.
face shot. It can still just be you in your natural habitat too.
Sure, yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, something like that. I think too, it could be really cool if you obviously use local ingredients from scratch, and that stands out because that's not something that everybody does. So I think it could be really cool to add a section of why you choose to do that, or how you do it, how you get local ingredients, especially here in the Midwest. Like that's not always an easy thing to do. So you could talk about, that choice, because I feel like that's part of your values. So that would probably resonate and connect with people. And so, yeah, I think you have a great start here. The only thing is then when you scroll, people might want to know a little bit more information. But I mean, you even have the next events like we were talking about. And so that's a great way to help people figure out, okay, now how do we work with you from here? Yeah, and then a contact form, how people can get to know you. Yeah, I think this is great. If anything, do you have more? Yeah, more.
Like if you click on any one of those tiles, it'll take you to a page with more information. So I don't know how important it is to like have it be scrollable on the main page rather than something you click through to be able to get to, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So every click someone does is an action, and it takes energy, which like you don't really think about that when you're like just scrolling and doing things. You're like, oh, whatever. But every time someone has to make a decision to go somewhere else, you have the chance of distracting them, or you have the chance of the page loading and then clicking somewhere else, or just an extra step. And so the more you can have on your first page, that just kind of gives them those quick like scannability overviews, the more people will actually catch on and refrain. When you make people work for things, we don't like to do that nowadays. I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's great. And this is exactly what you have. You should have those pages where they can click more and learn more of the details. But it's good also to just have an overview. So that way if people don't want to take that action, or you don't want them to get distracted or whatever, just being able to scroll and skim it can be really helpful to just keep people interested and learn as much as they can while they have the time on your website. So that's kind of the why people add a little bit more context to their homepage. But yeah, no, I think it's a really great start.
How much should you factor in like how much is visible when people look at this on a phone versus a computer?
Yeah, that's a good question. So people look at websites, I think the new stat, it always changes, keeps going up, is like 80% more often on mobile
Really?
than
Okay.
laptops. I know, and that hurts my heart because I love designing a website for desktop because I think it's so much prettier.
Yeah.
But truly, if your platform isn't set up to have a very customized way to update mobile, then maybe it's time to look for a new platform because, I mean, 80% of your audience is going to that first, especially if the first way they find you is through Instagram or whatever else, Facebook, they're on their phone. I mean, you might have those women at home on their iPads, scrolling on Facebook that find it that way, so it's a little bit more. But generally, it's really just the working people that have laptops that are going to land on your laptop first. So, yeah, you definitely want to consider it. So and a lot of times they also say, like, I think 70% of people, if they have a bad experience on the mobile platform, won't even ever go back. Won't go back to your desktop. You won't try anything else. And so, unfortunately, we do need to think about that. And I mean, it can be as easy as just stacking things. So maybe, this blue top is first, and then
I think it is responsive to resizing.
Good.
So if you minimize your screen to a cell phone size, it should if you make it narrower too, the way, it should respond to the size.
I actually think it looks great like that with the 4 squares.
Yeah. Yeah, I would just add in a little bit more personalization of you and your choices, and help people get to know your values. We can talk a little bit more about footer. I have some examples if you go back to the slides eventually, but yeah, great start. Now you guys can see my messy desktop. Don't judge me for that. Okay, do you want to look at yours?
No.
No? Okay.
Absolutely
Fair
not.
enough.
I haven't looked at mine in
Okay.
a year. We could look at it, but it'll be totally outdated.
Totally up to you. I don't want to pressure you or anything. I have
Sure,
these other
let's shame
examples
me.
too.
It's divine-meditation.com. I don't even know
Divine.
what's
I
on
don't even
there.
know how divine is there.
dash meditation. Yeah. Let's see what's on there. I don't even know.
I would say this is super common. We have a lot
Yeah.
of people come in the door and are like, "Don't look at my website," or
Oh,
it's
man.
hasn't been touched in 5
I
years,
know.
and it doesn't even say they're in Rochester. And they're
It's
"Ah."
embarrassing for me. Yeah.
Oh, this isn't bad
My
either.
roommate built this for me. She's like, "This is ridiculous. You need a website." So I haven't really done anything since she did it.
You guys are not, neither of you are bad. You should, some of the websites that I get asked to work on are haven't been touched since the 90s. So,
Oh.
these at least are
Yeah,
decent, not bad. Don't be too
The
embarrassed.
90s. Wow. That was the beginning of the internet.
Okay, so first impression, yes, I like the photo of you. I like that this is very, it looks like a place you would want to meditate. So I feel like that's a great first view. Belief is not required. Okay, I like that, but the thing right away is that who do you serve? Who's that for? Do you work with, again, children, moms? You can kind of get a vibe right here that you might work more for women, but you might want to make it clear because the less people have to think and decipher, the more energy they'll have to keep going on your website. And so, yeah, just make it really simple.
Okay.
I also do really like that you have these 2 call to actions that are super straightforward. It's not start here or whatever. It's okay, this first button is book a session. This one is sign up for that retreat. And so that's really great to have that first don't overthink it. What platform are you using?
Wix.
Okay. Oh yeah, you said that.
Yeah.
Nice. So then as you go down, okay, great because you have an about me section. Bad because if I were on your website, I would not read any of this.
Yeah,
just
right.
Because
That should be a click thing instead of on the first page thing.
yeah, you can
Okay.
have the full text somewhere else, but
Yeah.
even if you have it on a different page, you still want to break it up so that people can kind of read it. So you could have a subheading here that's my background, and then have a paragraph there, then another one that's who I am, another one there. And so it's just like break it up so people can skim. You really want to think about, if someone were skimming this, what are the main parts? And so bullet points can be really helpful, bolding it can be really helpful, underlining key parts, things like that, to just make it so that if someone were just skimming here, what do you want them to know, and make it super easy for them to like catch on to that. So that's what I would say about that one. Love the photo though.
Oh, thanks. I was in India. Question about the content.
Yep.
Like you mentioned, if you're not like a writer, you don't really know what you should edit or where you should put. Does someone like you help with that, or is it like who can direct you with that?
Yeah,
you know, like
good question. So there are website copywriters, like distinctly that's what they do.
Okay.
They live and breathe website copy.
I see.
I have a list of like 10 that are my friends that I recommend. So
Yeah.
if you're interested, like I can connect you with one of them easy. But when I do websites with my clients, I've done so many that I I can direct, or I can be like, you know, let's not do this. Let's try this instead. I also have a few templates that kind of help people start to understand what should be on it, but I'm no writing expert. And so generally if people really need help, I refer them to a copywriter. But
all right.
Yeah, but photo is great because you have the eye contact, so people are going to look at that and be like, oh, I feel
There's
her
energy.
soul.
Yeah,
She's
she's looking at
there.
me.
So that's awesome. Okay, and then this is great too because you kind of have the breakdown of like what you offer and each little section. So I like that.
Those are testimonials. I don't know.
Good that you have testimonials for stuff. I would just make them more readable, right? Because that photo is super cool. Did you take that?
I did take it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So super awesome when you have this great photo. But testimonials are so key, and you want people to really read them. And so just make it so easy for people.
Ooh, that would be a movement possibility, right? If they were like scrolling through instead of
Totally, yeah. You can have slides that just scroll through. Photos of your clients can be really helpful because then if people are reading it, they can be like, oh, that person kind of looks like me. I feel like I could be that, you know? And so, photos can be really helpful. But it's great that you have so many good testimonials. And I would even maybe just pick, you know, the top 5 that really speak to people, and you can bold some of the, like, if they say something that's really awesome, you can just bold that part. So that way someone could skim it and be like, oh, she said this, now I want to read the whole quote and figure out what it's about.
Okay.
But yeah, that's a great spot for movement too. Book recommendations, I like that. That's kind of personalizes it, so people are like, oh, I've read that book, like we're probably gonna get along. That's great. That's kind of similar to how, like I said, I have a playlist on mine, and so if people are listening to it and they hear a few of the songs and they're like, oh, we could listen to the same songs, we could be friends. So I think that that's a really great example there. And then
no call to action at the bottom.
No call to action. Get on that. Put just an extra one, because I always say if people get to the bottom of your website, they're probably kind of interested, right? They've spent all this time looking through things, so then don't make them guess where to go next. Like, have it simple. And then footer. I'm gonna open my slide deck up eventually to go through footers because I'm very passionate about footers. But do you have any other questions about it that you want to talk about?
Yeah, you mentioned the branding. You recommended that the branding be done prior to building the website. How does that work? What's that process like? And I'm assuming that is something you would do as well?
Yeah, so I do branding as well. I always say do it first because it's kind of like, it's like the foundation of your business. Your brand should really stem from your mission statement, your values, who you are, your passion, personality. Like, it should really encompass all of those things. And so having your voice defined, that's like how you speak in your copy. Having all your colors kind of figured out beforehand and the fonts figured out beforehand, it can be really helpful. So that way, you know, your website kind of is an extension of your brand. Same with your Instagram, printed materials, whatever it is, they all kind of flow together. And so for me, there's a whole lot of ways people do branding. I work with people through like a really personal experience building their brand, because a lot of people I work with are like these passionate female entrepreneurs, and so their business is kind of their baby, right? And so I make it a very, you know, personal experience because I want them to feel like their business is being cared for. So for the branding aspect, I generally sit down with people for an hour to 2 hours and just ask, like, how did you get here? Why are you doing this? Like, what's important to you? And just kind of really get a sense of that person. So then when I develop their brand, it's really just like this extension of their energy or of who they are as a person. So the colors really represent them, the fonts really represent them, everything is coming from somewhere authentically instead of just, okay, let's throw together these colors just because they work together and they look pretty. Like, no, it should really come from an authentic place of like, this represents the business, this represents the business owner. And so we can.
I'd love to see yours,
My website.
Well, what you've done for your clients in as a reflection of the branding you did with them, you know?
Yeah, let me. Okay, so this, if you go to my website, these are some examples, but I'm just gonna skip to, I have some brand guidelines because sometimes when people hear brand, they just think like logo, that's it. So these are examples of the whole entire brand package that I give to people before we even start the website, because it's really like a 30-page document that explains every aspect of their branding and how it should be used. And so this is Power Purchasing. She works with interior designers, but she wanted something that was kind of funky to catch interior designers' eyes, and she's kind of fun too. So as you go through here, you know, we have an overview of what her brand is, overview of the branding itself, mood board to kind of understand the vibe of the business, overview of who she is, mission. Like I said, I really like taking the mission and the values into account, and so we have those first. Then we go into typography. These are the typefaces that you use in every aspect. So you use them on your website, social media, printed material. They all kind of feel the same. How to use them, we kind of break that down. Logos, just different ways of how to use your logos. How not to use your logos, that's a big one. And then color palettes, kind of explaining, you know, where these colors are coming from, what their meaning is, how they work together, the different technical numbers and stuff. For her, she was going to do a branded photo shoot in the future, so we did image direction of what her branded photo shoot could look like for her business. We did patterns and stuff for her so she could use them to make her branding look a little bit more fun. So that's kind of the whole branding suite. It's really just like a holistic approach of like what your business means, and then we apply it into the website. So yeah.
Thank you.
Does that answer your
Yeah,
question?
it totally does. Yeah.
Good. Okay, so the other thing that I just want to touch on before is the footer. So people, you can see this website right here. The footer on the, what's going on? Oh, I wanted to present. Okay, so this is her footer right here. This is she's a friend of mine. She let me use her website as an example. There's not a lot there, which is interesting because your footer is on every single page of your website, right? And so if it's minimal and you didn't really spend any time on it, that's on every single page. And so your footer is a really easy way to, if it's more well built out, it's a really easy way to add just a little bit extra on every single page. So even if you don't have time to update everything, your footer and your header, especially the things that are on every page, spend a little bit of extra time on them because that will reflect on every page. So same with this one. So this is my other friend, Simone. This was her footer. There's not a lot to it. So when I kind of redid it, staying in their same branding, you can see how, you know, we added in what would be their Instagram, because then you're constantly having just a little bit of updates every time you post, and it's always something that's changing. Down here, you know, we wrote something like she's serving clients here and also globally. I've also seen people like put their mission statement down there, and so that way there's some little bit of information on every single page. Having your logo, and then this is something that people always forget, having the contact form right in the footer. So I can't tell you how many times people have randomly filled out that contact form in my footer. Not like anything special or anything, but I feel like sometimes people get way into like 4 pages into your website, they don't really even know where they are anymore, they're just exploring, and they're like, oh, you know, I kind of want to stay in this network and see what's going on and see how I can stay connected. And so having that in the bottom on every single page will catch more people than you think, so it's kind of helpful. So yeah, I always just say, you know, these are things that are going to update every single page, so spend a little bit extra time on there just to make sure your footer is a little bit personalized and tells a little bit more about you, because that will automatically help every single page. So yeah, any other questions? feel like I just info dumped a lot.
That's
Maybe we need a
good.
debrief.
Did you want to share? You're new. Oh, we didn't get to meet you.
I work.
Oh, you
with
work here?
millennials,
Oh,
so.
okay.
I have a question. It might be a tough one to answer, but when a small business is budgeting to get someone to help with web design and branding, I know there's a huge range, but what like range should
Yeah.
people be thinking?
That's a great question.
Oh yeah, that is a really great
Yeah.
question. I think it depends on the skill level. That's a big thing. You know,
Right.
there's website designers who do a 4-page website for $8,000, and then there's some who do it for $1,000. It just kind of depends on the range, and it also depends on the intention behind it. So me personally, I can speak on that. So I have 2 main website packages because I wanted to have one for those people that are kind of budgeting and want something a little bit easier to obtain right away, and then I have the higher end package. And so for me, I have branding and website in a week, which is 1 week. We do the whole brand build out and then launch a 4-page website by Friday. And that, because I wanted to be able to reach more early businesses, it's $2,500 every time. And so I would say that's pretty on the low end for like a 5-page website. And then on the upper hand, I have my full custom package, which is, you know, if you need a 10-page website, we build a 10-page website. It's whatever is needed, and that one can range from like 3,000 to 4,000. And so that's just kind of where I am, but yeah, it's a big range.
So realistically, anywhere between like 2K to 1,500 or 15K, people should be like
Yeah.
thinking it might be.
Maybe not. Okay, if it was like a really big website build that was like, I don't know, like I had a company reach out from Chicago and they wanted like a 20-page website.
Sure.
They were a software company and they needed all these like intricate things. So that one's could have been, you know, around that 15. But I would say like early stage entrepreneurs with under 5 pages, if anyone quotes you more than 6,000, you should question it and be like, I had a client come to me actually one time, and she had just finished her website. She had someone work with her. She paid $8,000 for it. And she came to me because she was like, I don't even like it.
Oh my gosh.
And so what happened after I talked to her, someone had talked to her in the DMs and was like, oh my gosh, I love your vibe. We would be best friends. Like, we should totally work together. And just really like hyper sold this like glorious, you know, feeling. And then quoted her $8,000 her website, built it, and it was not even, like I looked at it and I was like, I would never charge $8,000 for that. And so if you work with a website designer and they're charging you these crazy numbers, make sure you like go look at their work, go look at testimonials, like dig into it a little bit, because I mean, investing in your website, truly, it's like an employee. If you're asleep, your website can still be working for you. So it is an investment and it's something to consider spending some money in. But just like with any big investment, do your research and make sure it's a good fit.
No, that's good to know. I know there are some in town that charge like the 15 to 20K range, and it's probably like specially I mean, I know it's specially coded, but like you said, you know. But that's good to know at least the range. You know, if it's over this amount, you probably should be asking, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Or is that necessary?
Yeah.
And truly, like what you said, like, is it a custom coded website? Because that makes it different. And so I work in a platform called Show It, which is like my bread and butter. It's my favorite place to design websites. It's where I tell people to go, because who I work with a lot is like these passionate female entrepreneurs, and so they want a website and then they want it to be their website. Whereas like these people who are coding websites, they often are probably retainer, and so anytime that business needs updates, they have to go back to this person and they have to pay this person every time to continue to update and code it. Whereas when I work, because of who I work with, I want to hand over the website and be like, this is yours. If you want updates, this is how you do it. If you need my help, I can be here, but you don't have to come back every time. So that's probably the people that are charging that might just work with a different audience that needs that more hands-on approach.
Yeah, agreed.
I have another question. For early stage entrepreneurs, would you recommend to include the store, or like the store inside, or is it too much hassle? For example, if someone wants to book an appointment and pay you right away, should that early stage entrepreneur integrate the
Great
payment?
question.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is a good question, and I think it depends if like you would be open to anybody working with you, right? Because I have my prices very visible on my website, but I want people to book a call first because I want to, you know, chat with them and be like, do I like you?
Right.
Are you someone I would want to work with?
Right.
Because you never know who's gonna just sign up for things. Like, I have a free discovery call on my website, and sometimes people book it, and it's like, I've had men from across the globe jump on that call with me and just
Oh no,
not
like
even
not
interested.
even for business?
Yeah. And
Oh,
so
no.
it's like,
Oh, that's weird.
that's why,
Ew,
yeah.
that's so creepy.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, if you're gonna have that on there, like, you just have to know that, like,
Yeah.
someone just random might walk in
Sure.
and have a meditation. So if
Sure.
you don't care and you trust, your
Yeah.
community to
Yeah.
provide good people to you,
Right.
then you probably could do that.
Yeah.
But if you want to be able to just meet the person first, or like send them to a form to kind of catch a little bit more information first,
Mhm.
that's kind of what I do most of the time.
Mhm.
Bake's different. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
you might want that on your
It's
website.
for
so it's just
everybody.
easier. And
You know what's funny? There is another like business in the Philippines
Oh.
called like Persimmon something.
okay.
Oh.
And I'll get like messages in the middle of the night, like, what's your menu?
Nice.
And then I'll like look at their
Like it.
profile, they're in the Philippines, and then I have to like send them a message. I actually have it like just like a pre-made, like, I think you're looking for this business.
Yeah.
Go to this webpage instead.
Actually,
And
that's a question I have about your business. Why persimmon?
so that's in my FAQ actually, because everyone asks me that. So it's like my mother's favorite fruit, and she buys like a variety called Sharon fruit, and my name is Sharon.
Oh.
So it's like indirectly named after me, but not in like a
Yeah.
pretentious way.
Yeah.
I
feel
like that.
That's
I wondered
good.
if it was like an ingredient or
Yeah,
like
it's a
so- you know.
fruit. Yeah.
No, I know what it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had a persimmon
Yeah,
tree, but
yeah.
I thought like, is this like how is it like
Right,
integral
related
to your brand?
Yeah. People also get very confused. They're like, oh, so there's persimmons and everything.
Right.
And then I'm
Oh.
like, no.
Yeah. Hmm.
So that can be confusing for
Mm.
people too.
I like that it's kind of homage to your
Yeah.
family
Yeah.
and your name, and that's cute. Yeah, but we have to explain it though. Like,
Yes. And a
Although
lot
maybe
of-
that's a great like intro. Like, no,
Sure,
actually
yeah.
it's this, and
It's intriguing.
yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people also don't know like what it is.
Mm.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But anyhow, yeah, this other business in the Philippines. It's so crazy. I'll just have to just like redirect people, but I just wonder if like the opposite happens, but I don't think it really does. I feel like I'm more visible than them because I actually have a website. I mean, they do have a Facebook page, and that's usually how people message me, but yeah, it's just funny.
Yeah, so that's why it's totally open-ended. There's not like a better way of doing it. I just think for the industries I work with, I like to have an extra layer of like, let's really vet out and make sure it's a good fit instead of someone could just book a website rebuild and then I have new like connection with who they
Yeah.
are. It's not really a good fit, and so then
Yeah.
it's not good for either of us really. Yeah.
What kind of questions do you ask on the discovery call? Like, because that's something I've considered doing before. Like, and I'm just curious, like, how much time do you take with that? Is it like 15 minutes or half an hour? Do you say like how like do you have a limit to your time, or
Yeah,
do you have a list of questions that you want to get through with every client, or is it like
Wait, on the discovery call, like
Yeah.
the free one, or on the branding call?
the free one?
The free one?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
'cause
I
that's-
think it's even like, let's go to my homepage. I
Okay.
think it's like very clear in here that it's 30 minutes.
Oh,
It's
okay,
like
30.
on the bottom. Oh,
Uh-oh. We lost.
oh,
Oh,
here.
sometimes it does that.
Well, it says book a free 30 minutes.
Oh, I see. A
book
3-minute
30-minute
consultation.
So I have
Yeah.
it really clear just because I want, and
Yeah.
also when they book it, it only books like a calendar slot for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't have a list of questions. I kind of
Okay.
vibe it out.
Yeah, you vibe it out. Yeah.
Um,
yeah.
Sometimes I get on a call and the people really lead it, and they're like, okay, these are the questions I have for you. This is what I want to know,
Right.
and blah blah blah.
Right.
And then sometimes people are like, okay, I think I want a website, and then I just kind of walk through the
Yeah.
process and let them know how it works. So,
Okay. That's
yeah,
fair,
No
yeah.
solid answer on it.
No, that's fair. That is an answer. Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, this is Show It.
Mhm.
This is where I build my websites. I'm a big fan of Show It, and I recommend it.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, thanks guys for
Thank you.
coming.
Yeah,
that
thank
was
you so
really
much.
helpful.
Good.